I tried the most popular keyboards on Amazon, so you don't have to. Wait, they're behind me, aren't they? Oh no.
Looks like we're gonna have to save some money. Huh, oh no, oh no. Oh no!
Yeah, that's, I don't know. I was trying to be creative. Please, howdy, hey. I'm Hipyo Tech, and I tried hundreds of keyboards last year and this year. Oh man. And these boxes are some of the most popular keyboards on Amazon. But should you buy them? Well, to put that to the test, I'm gonna be trying 3 different keyboards at very similar prices, but all with one very special quirk. You might want to stick around for this one. The best part is all of these are budget friendly, meaning they're under $100. But that might mean they're making some sacrifices. So I'm not gonna waste your time. Let's get right into it. And full disclosure, this video is sponsored by Epomaker, who did not review this video, did not tell me what to say, and all of my thoughts are my own. Now, this is the Epomaker TH85. And you might have seen my previous video where I tried the TH80, the TH80 Pro, and a bunch of different variants of that. Now, Epomaker took a lot of my very harsh words and theoretically put them to work. Now, this keyboard starts at $79.99, aka $80, but then get this, there's a coupon that makes it $63.
Editor Hipyo here. Apparently this is part of their Prime sale, which I'll have linked down below, so it's only for a limited time.
But what's surprising is it's very, very light. This is a very light keyboard because it's made entirely out of plastic, which is the first sacrifice of many that we're gonna have to weigh. However, what is this like really cool rim around it? I'm kind of a little bit curious about that. Now, this is a 75%-ish keyboard. It's kind of merging the gap between TKL and 75%. You've got an extra row over here, meaning it's a pretty nice compact layout. For most people, this would be enough. It's got your F row, it's got your arrow keys, but what it doesn't have is a number pad, which we'll be taking a look at in these 2 keyboards. However, whoa, we'll look at the accessories in a second, but I just have to dive into this. So not only does it sound absolutely incredible, which, I mean, it's a plastic keyboard and nowadays most plastic keyboards tend to sound pretty thocky, but these switches are tactile. I haven't found a pre-built budget keyboard with good tactile switches, dare I say, ever? And while these are a little bit pingy, like these are not perfect switches, in fact, lubing them might even make them better, they have a very, very nice tactile feedback when you press them down. We'll dive into what they actually look like in just a second. Oh, it's these. But as far as the accessories go, you get a cable, a keycap puller, and 2 spare switches, and hopefully a manual that you can read. I can't read, so leave a comment and I won't be able to read it. Now, build quality wise, nothing is impressive about this keyboard, and I'm gonna look at the others and compare that in just a second. You've got flippy feet and oh, what is that? Okay, 2.4 gigahertz dongle. We'd be repping the wireless. This keyboard and all of these keyboards support tri-mode wireless, meaning you can use 2.4 gigahertz, Bluetooth, or wired. However, it is a little bit dubious whether or not that performance is gonna actually be super duper fast because, you know, we've had some problems with other Epomaker boards and randomly dropping connections and that kind of stuff, so your mileage may vary. However, first impression here, I'm pleasantly surprised for $64. Now, this thing might actually be relatively easy to mod because it's got screw holes on the bottom, which is really rare. Most plastic keyboards do not have screws on the bottom, so you have to pry them apart, potentially breaking your case in the process. I've done that multiple times. Hi, Nola. Hi, this is Nola, by the way. She's my cat that likes to be slapped and kissed and punched, and she's weird. Leave a comment that says, hey Nola, you're doing a great job being in the way. So modability might be pretty easy. Granted, this thing is plastic and already full of foam, so you might really not want to do many mods. What I do see on the back, however, is a Windows and Mac switch. So if you're a Mac user, that's kind of nice. And, oh, look at that RGB. Wow, wait, that's a pretty cool touch. It's very well diffused, and it kind of gives it a more futuristic premium look, especially for a very cheap budget keyboard. The RGB, meh, it's fine. Like, it's got RGB, it's on. Nothing to really write home about here. It's not super duper bright, but there is RGB. The keycaps also aren't shine through because they're double shot PBT. Like, they've kind of given what could be considered the bare minimum, but It's hot swappable, meaning you can take switches out, replace them without needing to solder, which is great for any beginner. And ooh, my God. These switches are really, really nice. Now, these are the milk blue tactiles, which have a 45 gram actuation and 60 gram bottom out, making them mid-weight and with the factory lubing very smooth. And what is nice is that most keyboards don't come with a tactile option nowadays. It's only linear. So this is very refreshing to see in a keyboard, especially one so affordable. South-facing LEDs as well, so that's good. Now, this keyboard does seem pretty interesting, but I'll save my final thoughts till the end. Next, let's look at something a little bit bigger. Bazinga, the TH99. This is quite a bit bigger in that it has a full numpad. Let's get it open. Now, you might notice that the unboxing experience for this one is basically the same as the last. Cable, keycap puller, switches. Bit boring, but then the keyboard itself is different in a couple very crucial ways that could ruin it for you. Now, you might notice this one is like so much prettier. What the heck? And all of these come in a couple different color options that I'll have on the screen as I talk about them. Now, the 99 stands for the 99 keys that this thing has. You might notice it has the number pad, but it is missing most of this middle cluster. So for some of you, this isn't full-sized enough, and do not worry, we're looking at that later. Also, you might notice, it's got a lot of similar features. It's got a Windows and a Mac mode. It's got 2.4 gigahertz wireless, same dongle, but this time it's stored in the back instead of under the feet, which is arguably way better, but maybe less premium. I don't know, leave a comment. What do you think is better, stored in the back or stored under the feet? If you're into feet, I don't wanna know. It's got the flippy feet, which are 2-stage flippy feet as well. That's kind of nice if you want your keyboard to sit at a bunch of different angles. Personally, I think it types most comfortably completely flat without the elevated feet, but it's great to have the option, especially for different desks and different setups. Also, like the two-tone case is super duper cute. However, you might notice, still entirely plastic, and this one is $3 more at $82.99 or $66.39 with a coupon as of making this video. But on the bottom, no screws, meaning that in order to take this thing apart, you would have to use the clip method or the incredibly strong rock climber Hipyo finger method, which I don't recommend unless you're Hipyo and a rock climber. Although that's a spoiler for my next video that's coming out, so get subscribed. Yeah, I'm making a rock climbing video. Deal with it. But how does this one sound? Oh! Holy moly. This one sounds so creamy. So this one has linear switches in it. So if you want tactile switches, you're gonna have to pull out each of these switches and swap them out yourself. What are those linear switches, you might ask? Well, they are the creamy jade switches. Normally I'm like, keyboard switch names, y'all are actually making this stuff up, but these do sound incredibly creamy, so they weren't lying. And they're a very, very smooth factory lubed linear switch, meaning when you press down your switch, it's just smooth all the way down, no bump or anything. Also this board, hot swappable, south-facing LEDs. The keycaps, same kind of double shot PBT, nothing really to write home about here. They are pretty, but they aren't super duper premium. And if you're like, oh, Hipyo, you're being a little bit too nice to these keyboards right now. Don't worry, I'm saving most of my negative thoughts for the end because they kind of apply to all three keyboards. But the TH99, it feels like it's cheaply built. It sounds absolutely incredible, and it feels nice to type on. With 2.4 gigahertz, a decent enough battery, it could be pretty good for you at a very cheap price. But what if you wanted something a little bit more? Well, that is where this comes in. The TH108. Now, I've been teasing this throughout the whole entire video, so you kind of know what's coming. But as I mentioned before, each keyboard has something fundamentally different about it. Well, the accessories and unboxing are basically the same, which is why I completely just sped run it. Also, you might notice, the board is still plastic. Oh my gosh, is it very, very cheap feeling. This one comes in at $88.99 or $71.19 with a coupon. These coupons are weird. I'll just have the prices and stuff on screen as of editing this video. And it's unapologetically plastic. It's got dual stage flippy feet. It stores the 2.4 gigahertz dongle under those feet, similar to the first keyboard. And that's where all of these boards are relatively similar, but slightly different. But they have the same naming scheme, which makes it really confusing because normally, if something has the same naming scheme, it's just the same thing but bigger. But these are all different keyboards from the same person. Oh, Epomaker, why? Why? Anyways, as you might notice, this one has gamer keycaps on it. It's got this really pretty gradient and then front-facing legends, which with the RGB off looks really kind of quite lame to me. But if you flick the switch on the back, bazinga, it's epic gamer RGB time. I'm filming this during Pride Month, so I guess yeehaw Pride Month. If you're not yeehaw Pride Month, why? The back, also RGB with two little slits, much more underwhelming. Like, this is cheaper, but I guess this is bigger, to be fair. And let's talk about why it's bigger. Full size. This is an actual full-sized keyboard. It's got your full F row, your full number pad, your full middle bit of keys that people somehow really care about and keep commenting about. Like literally my last video where I was like, these are full-sized keyboards. People were like, no, 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 I need every single key. And I'm like, have y'all heard of macros? And they went, no, 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 muscle memory, because God forbid you relearn anything. That's just my personal rant, that's fine. This is a real full-sized keyboard, so you've got everything. However, you might notice the thing that makes this really, really different. Do you hear that? No. Probably not too well because this keyboard has silent switches in it, making it significantly quieter than the other offerings. Now, these are the sea salt silent switches from Epomaker, which are some of my favorite silent switches in that they're not completely silent and they actually have a very nice, slightly audible thunk. This also feels really nice and kind of mushy to type on, which is personally one of my favorite kinds of typing experiences, as I use electrocapacitive keyboards daily. However, let's just compare this sound-wise versus the tactile. Significantly quieter. But why? Well, first, if we pull off these shine-through keycaps and get a look at these switches, which, yes, this board is also hot swappable, 2.4 gigahertz wireless, basically most of the other similar features as the other one. You get these switches. They're so quiet. And they actually have a bit of dampening inside the switch, which is what makes them so silent. But they are linear, so they have a very similar smooth feel, just with a slight mush. So that would make this keyboard absolutely great if you're the typical office worker that just wants a decent upgrade. Like, it's full size, it's silent so you won't get kicked out of the office, it's relatively disposable so that if somebody steals it, you're not super gutted over somebody stealing your $500 keyboard, and it does just work. However, what it doesn't do is let you mod it very easily because this version doesn't have the screws on the bottom, and that kind of just perfectly transitions me into my negatives. Now, all of these keyboards have terrible, terrible software, meaning that if you're someone that wants to reprogram a keyboard easily, technically you can, but your options suck. You don't have VIA, you don't have QMK, you don't have anything really accessible, but you do technically still have a software. That's fine. The other thing that these keyboards don't have is generally the best build quality. Like, for example, if you wanted a keyboard that was full aluminum, and even if you just wanted to stick with Epomaker and Amazon for $20 more, you could get the Galaxy 100, which is a full aluminum keyboard that I've already looked at in a previous video. Link to it is right here. So that kind of leaves me with a little bit of a question mark here. All of these keyboards are pretty neat, pretty cheap, and very accessible, but they all make pretty significant sacrifices that you have to be okay with on the budget. They aren't gonna be super great for gaming because they don't prioritize latency or Hall effect switches, and they aren't gonna be absolutely great at anything in particular because they're just making sacrifices across the board. However, if you're on a budget, maybe pick them up, try them out on Amazon, because Amazon has a really good return policy. I didn't tell you to do that though. Now, in conclusion, the TH85 is pretty nice and compact. It sounds very clacky and has tactile switches. The TH99 sounds incredibly creamy, although is just generally pretty plasticky and kind of cheap like all of them. And the TH108 has a very boring aesthetic, but very elegant silent switches. Which one would you go for? Let me know with a comment down below. But also, this is episode 2 of Hipyo in his kitchen. Did the format get better? Are we bored of it already? Should I move to my bathroom? Let me know. Also, I just released a new song that I worked lots of time on. Go check it out with the link down below because I'm releasing a new song every single month this year. So yeah, I make music and it's good if you're sad and stuff. So check it out, Kadeli, down below. Kadeli, bye, Kadeli.